Elon now has well over 100 bodyguards working in shifts. I've met some of them. They are extremely good men. And I'm pleased to be able to say that he provided his bodyguards in lieu of, or to assist, but rather in lieu of the government bodyguards for the last number of meetings. Trump was guarded by Elon's guards, which made us all feel much more safe, better.
Wow. But isn't that an indictment on the Secret Service?
Well, yes, it is, of course. I mean, the very things that happened are indictment of the civil service, of the Secret Service. It's a joke.
But Errol Musk, first to you, because it was your son Elon Musk that made major news by withdrawing his endorsement of Nigel Farage, saying that maybe he didn't have what it takes to be Reform UK leader. Some suggestion that they might try to patch it up while they're both in Washington, D.C. for the inauguration. What do you think's going to happen there? Or is your son the type of guy that once he's turned on someone, his mind is made up?
Well, oddly enough, it was myself. It was me that said a few days before Elon said this. I was talking to Talk TV or possibly Times TV, I'm not sure. And I said, I don't think, Nigel Farage has what it takes. Or rather, I said he's not strong enough to be. I said he's a good speaker and he speaks sense, but I don't think he's strong enough for the task at hand, particularly because he hadn't done anything about these three major issues: the gang rape gangs, the 3,000 prisoners, political prisoners, which they are, and Tommy Robinson, who's a political prisoner. And in fact, he sort of washed his hands of Tommy Robinson. So from my point of view, he was done. He was finished. And then a few days later, Elon said he does not see. He made a blank statement. He said Farage is no good. He didn't say he's not strong enough. He just says he's out. So as far as what's happened since then, I have noticed, for watching things, that Nigel Farage has come out a little stronger on the inquiry into the rape gangs. He hasn't mentioned a word about the 3,000 decent, ordinary people. I don't care what people say to me about that, who are sitting in prison now for objecting to their communities being ruined. And then Tommy Robinson, he hasn't said a word about that. So I can't see how Elon is going to say to him, well, now I see you doing a little bit more. But I see a little bit more from Farage's point of view. But I know my son, and he's got this sort of thing about things. He likes to think that he made a decision and he stuck by it. He's not the sort of person who likes to be, told, well, you decided this then, and then you decided that later. Now, most of us are open to reason. So hopefully, maybe Elon is open to a bit of reason from Farage. But personally, I still don't think Farage is right. I still don't think he's right. If he was right, he would offer a hand of friendship to Tommy Robinson, who's nothing more than a political prisoner.
Well,
and not somebody, and he didn't go to Eton. So because he didn't go to Eton, like Andrew or something,
he doesn't have a posh voice like Andrew or Douglas Murray or Christopher Hitchens. Well, look, there is a big update on that. I want both of your reaction to that. It has now been confirmed by Tommy Robinson's team. Let's look at the post. It's just come in. We are grateful to Elon Musk and his team at X for agreeing to provide support to Tommy Robinson for two specific legal cases: prison treatment and human rights violation, and the terrorism case. So confirmation there now, Errol, that actually your son is financially backing Tommy Robinson, further cementing the relationship, and I guess moving him away even further from where he is at in terms of Farage.
Yes. No, that makes sense to me. I haven't heard anything about that. I mean, that's just the next logical step. I mean, to any thinking person, if you look at history, I mean, I've said this on the TV. I mean, if you look at history through the years, through hundreds of years, thousands of years, you often find that people who eventually rise were at some point jailed by the opposition on sort of spurious sort of reasons, So we have that here with Tommy Robinson. He hasn't done anything that warrants him being placed in confinement, solitary confinement for 18 months. I mean, they've just left off the lashes. You know, the lashes would have been the next, 100 lashes and 18 months in solitary confinement. They seem to leave the lashes off.
Thank God. But the solitary confinement is bad enough, as you say. Andrew Eborn, your view on Musk furthering involving himself with Tommy Robinson?
Yes, and I think it's not a surprise. Elon's been very public in terms of his postings. The point that Errol made on the show we do together is that Elon would have discussed this with President Trump before distancing himself from Nigel to that extent.
Interesting.
Yes, that's also true. It's a very good point.
Interesting. By the way, we are standing by for the swearing in of Donald Trump. We will take that for you live and the inauguration address, but I have the brilliant Andrew Eborn and Errol Musk watching along with me live for the coverage that you won't get in the mainstream media. If you do have any questions for Errol or Andrew or myself as this historic day goes on, then just do pop them into the chat box on YouTube. Our poll is running there as well. So we are standing by for this very historic moment. And I guess it's a moment, Errol, that no one truly believed would happen. I mean, personally, I thought they were going to take Trump out with an assassination. Yes. And they came this close, this close.
Oh, yes. Well, you know, the person behind Trump died.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I had these idiots saying it was firecrackers or something. The man behind Trump died. You know, that's not funny. Not funny at all. No. My own impression of that was, as a person who was a sharpshooter in the South African Defence Force, that was not somebody who fired those, was not that man on the roof that the youth that they blamed. There's no way it was youth firing with a red dot rifle. It's impossible to do that. That was done with a crosshair rifle.
Really? So you think that it was potentially an inside job?
Yes, definitely.
Have you been worried about your son's safety, given that he was up on stage with Trump as late as last night?
Yes, very worried. Very, very worried. And Elon now has well over 100 bodyguards working in shifts. I've met some of them. They're extremely good men. And I'm pleased to be able to say that he provided his bodyguards in lieu of, or to assist, but rather in lieu of the government bodyguards for the last number of meetings. Trump was guarded by Elon's guards, which made us all feel much more safe, better.
Wow. But isn't that an indictment on the Secret Service?
Well, yes, it is, of course. I mean, the very things that happened are indictment of the civil service, of the Secret Service. It's a joke.
But so what you're saying is that Trump trusts Musk's personal security more than he does his official detail.
Well, I don't know if that's how it happened, but I just know that Elon insisted. So that's it. I mean, thank heavens he did.
And I mean, obviously now, Andrew, you would hope that Trump, with his own team in place, with his own point man running the Secret Service, it's going to be a very different kettle of fish.
Oh, no, absolutely. And Errol makes a brilliant point. I mean, how on earth you can get a sniper so close at that particular rally on that sort of side? Those questions have to be asked and answered. And I always say that we forget to shine a spotlight. We keep moving on to the next media story. But there are so many questions that need to be answered about that particular day.
Yes,
breaking news just in. One of President Joe Biden's final acts in office has been to pardon several more family members. These are apparently sweeping pardons covering all of their non-violent actions dating back to 2014. Of course, he had already pardoned his son, Hunter Biden. So Biden is clearly incredibly worried. The people who are named: James Biden, Sarah Jones Biden, Valerie Biden Owens, John T. Owens, Francis W. Biden. He's not taking any chances. This is a full and unconditional pardon, Errol.
That's unconstitutional. He's not in a position to do that. Just as he's not in a position to pardon people, let's say in outer Romania or something, for doing something they did. These are people that are outside the ambit of the state, and so he can't do that. I can't see how you can pardon these people, and pardoning them simply confirms everything that people have know and been saying. These people have been stealing from the United States government. They've been stealing the government's money. They've been taking bribes that are outside that. You know.
Please raise your right hand.
Indeed.
No,
okay.
no, Biden's not going to get away with this.
It is incredible. I was looking at the number of pardons that were given by people. George W. Bush from 2001 to 2009 gave 200 pardons. Barack Obama was 1,927. Donald Trump in his previous term gave 237. And Joe Biden, I'm not sure if this number includes the latest ones, Dan, but 8,064 pardons.
Joseph, what's the reaction from Brits to that address?
Well, I'm here at the Heritage Foundation, where there's a incredible reaction going on just down the corridor. You can hear it, but it's been phenomenal. It's giving a feeling of optimism. It's giving a feeling of general purpose, I think, to the entire global conservative community, and a real sense that we can fight back, a real sense that there are things to be done, especially those announcements on energy, on what I would call remigration. They're pretty considerable seismic sort of steps that have basically paved the way for the rest of the free world to follow. And that's generally the reaction. You know, as last night I was with Liz Truss and a few of the other British guys who are out covering the event. And the feeling is that we can replicate what's going on here. And that's, you know, it's a great feeling. We haven't had that for 4 years. And it's sweeping everything away before it.
Well, it is fascinating, isn't it? You've got Liz Truss there, as you say. You've got Nigel Farage there, Suella Braverman, Priti Patel. Completely invisible, Joseph, seemingly the Labour government.
Well, absolutely. There's absolutely no way that they're going to invite what they perceive to be a communist government to come and lay at the table. But right now we're in the same bracket as Venezuela. That's the reality of it. Until we sort out our situation, particularly on energy policy, particularly on defence spending, obviously, immigration is not so much of an international topic, but they know that that's a bad problem. They've seen the grooming gang scandal. Of course, Errol, you know, your son is right at the forefront of what's going on there. And my God, do we need him to talk out more? But the reality is, until we get our house in order, we're not going to be considered at the top table of world politics. And the only people who are, noticeably, obviously, you've got Boris still close, Liz, and now Nigel, who seems to be the heir to the throne apparent. And let me tell you, everybody in DC knows that, man. You say Nigel Farage, it's not going to get lost in the weeds. People are really aware of who he is and what he's doing. And there's a sense that, you know, the deep state is global. It's not just the US. This is a phenomenon that we see everywhere, from Imran Khan's situation in Pakistan through to Nigel's situation in the UK through to the US, right? It's everybody's time to fight back.
Joseph Robertson, very good analysis from Washington, D.C. Thank you so much. Speak of the devil, though. Guess who just popped up on X with his own little video for Donald Trump? Slippery Starmer. Let's have a listen.
My warmest congratulations to President Trump on his inauguration as the 47th President of the United States. For centuries, the relationship between our two nations has been one of collaboration, cooperation, and enduring partnership. It is a uniquely close bond. Together, we have defended the world from tyranny and worked towards our mutual security and prosperity. With President Trump's long-standing affection and historical ties to the United Kingdom, I know that depth of friendship will continue. The United Kingdom and the United States will work together to ensure the success of both our countries and deliver for people on both sides of the Atlantic. Since our first meeting in September, the President and I have spoken about the need to deepen and invest in the transatlantic relationship. We will continue to build upon the unshakable foundations of our historic alliance as we tackle together the global challenges we face. and take our partnership to the next level, focused on shared opportunities ahead for growth. I look forward to our next meeting as we continue our shared mission to ensure the peace, prosperity, and security of our two great nations. The special relationship between the United Kingdom and the United States will continue to flourish for many years to come.
But first, something really important to talk to you about, actually. Scammers and spammers who are out there to ruin your life. We've all experienced more and more of those spam emails, text messages, and robo phone calls. Not only are they annoying and time-consuming to deal with, but they usually represent a gross invasion of your private information that can cause vast financial and reputational damage. And how the heck did they get your information in the first place? It's likely as a result of data brokers who know everything about you, your health information, relationship status, mortgage details, and so much more, and then sell it for a profit. These data brokers can directly or indirectly expose sensitive information to bad actors, putting you at risk of identity theft. The number of data breaches worldwide rises every year. According to the annual data breach report by the Identity Theft Resource Center, it went up by 72% in 2023 compared to the previous year. This means you and your loved ones are also at a constantly increasing risk of data breaches as a growing list of data brokers hold your personal information. That's then being sold or published without you even knowing about it. Now, the consequence of this can be shocking. Health insurance companies could actually raise your rates based on your online activity. Huge loans have been taken under people's names without them even knowing about it. And scammers have even started to use AI to mimic the voices of friends and family to trick victims into sending them money. These imposter scams rely entirely on the voice data they can find online. While you can ask these data brokers to delete your personal information, the process takes hundreds of hours to do manually and requires repetition. The good news is that today I have a solution for you that I use and personally endorse. Go to incogni.com/outspoken and get 60% off an annual plan right now. Incogni reaches out to data brokers on your behalf, requests your personal data removal, and handles any objections from their side. And the whole process is automated, ensuring that your data stays off the market by conducting repeated removals and taking down your data again if it pops up. This is what makes the yearly subscription especially advantageous. I do the annual plan, so they're constantly taking me off these lists. It's such a simple process. You simply create an account, grant Incogni the right to work for you, and they will contact the data brokers on your behalf to request your personal data removal. Go to incogni.com/outspoken and get 60% off an annual plan right now. It could be the most important decision you make. But now, back to the show. Oh my goodness. Andrew Eborn, Errol Musk. You couldn't have more of a contrast, could you? A tale of two speeches. Keir Starmer, robotic, emotionless, reading off his auto cue. Donald Trump, powerful, engaged, passionate. What did you make of it, Errol?
I mean, the guy makes me sick. I don't want to see him. I think he's got to go.
I'm with you there.
He's got to go. He's no good. He's got to go. You know, he's everything I don't like in England. You know, sort of thing. No thanks.
He cannot survive, can he, this whole term of Trump? Because, Andrew, his politics are just completely out of step with where the entire Western world is now going.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, I mean, policy is the opposite. Sorry.
You're so right. And when we were listening to, as I say, Trump's the best speech I've heard him ever give, every little soundbite, if only we had a leader that could command that sort of respect, as opposed to sort of the charisma bypass that we have in the current prime minister. What tends to happen is that past UK leaders typically visit the US weeks or months after inauguration. I mean, Theresa May did it 7 days after Trump's post 2017. Gordon Brown, I think, was March 2009 after Obama. Tony Blair 1 month after. It'd be interesting to see what happens. But the special relationship we've longed for to be reintroduced, it's got a bit of scar tissue, which needs to be resolved at the moment. And clearly, Starmer's not the man. I thought it was a terrible response after such an impassioned speech with those beacon of light and the wonderful sound bites punctuating virtually every sentence. Trump was at his best today, and even those outside of America, there should be hope in our hearts.
Well, indeed. And of course, sorry, Errol, you come in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you know, Starmer, I don't know. Well, how did this happen? That's my question. It's just not good. Not good.
It's not good at all.
He seems to put his foot in it. You know, I wasn't listening to a word he said. Just didn't sound right to me.
No, indeed. And the thing is, there's been this cover-up regarding the Southport massacre. I think the British establishment purposefully scheduled the trial of Axel Rudikabana for today because the attention of the mainstream media and the world was obviously going to be on the US Capitol for the second inauguration of Donald Trump. But the thing, Andrew, that I am just so angry about, and I said it before Trump's speech, I think it is worth mentioning again, the fact that Starmer has decided to release his statement. And remember, he said, we're going to have a debate about this when we can. He decided to release his statement about Rudikabana's guilty plea. This is the first statement since we can officially reveal and report that Axel Rudikabana was actually referred to the Prevent Counterterrorism Program 3 times before murdering those young girls, attempting to behead them in Southport at the Taylor Swift dance class. And he finally releases a weasel word sort of statement saying, I want the families to know that our thoughts are with them and everyone in Southport affected by this barbaric crime. The whole nation grieves with them. Yes, Starmer, we have been grieving about these children since July. But what we want to know and what we want to have a very important discussion about is why the hell he was allowed to do this, given the authorities knew. And I just think slipping this statement under the radar, it's like a good time to bury bad news, Andrew Eborn, but this isn't going away. We are not going to forget his cover-up.
And we must never, ever, ever let it go away. I mean, all praise to Elon for shining a spotlight on the rape gangs and so on and so forth. But the reality of this and the timing of that announcement from Starmer, we heard about the guilty plea that was put in several hours ago. For him to release his statement just as Trump was about to make his speech, as you say, it resonates of it's a good day for releasing bad news. We must never let this go. There's an absolute scandal that we need to look at. And as I say, sunlight is the best disinfectant. And I always say, look, trust comes in on foot but leaves on horseback. But trust in the media, trust in the police, trust in politicians is at an all-time low. Trump is doing his bit to restore that trust. And we talked about in God we trust. There's several references to God throughout the inauguration. We need to look at what's happening over here in Britain. Take a lesson from Trump, take a lesson from that speech, and we should get some of that over here.
Oh, I'm inspired by you two. You two are such a brilliant double act. Just before I talk about where we can hear much more from you, I have to show you this cute little moment and get your reaction, Errol. So this was the moment when Donald Trump mentioned Mars, and you can see your son, Elon, clapping, cheering, smiling, doing the big thumbs up. So it looks like that was his favorite moment, would you imagine?
Yeah, well, obviously, they're trying very hard, trying very, very, very hard,
They are, and they need to. Sorry. They need to. Well, look, I love you two together. I listen all the time. But Andrew, can you explain to everyone where we can now hear Andrew Eborn with a big dose of Errol Musk on a regular basis.
Absolutely. Well, Errol's a very regular guest on the Andrew Eborn show. We do the A&E, the Andrew and Errol bit, where we unpack the stories in the media, and there's some virtually every day about Elon and his numerous companies. I always say that basically, if you don't read the newspaper, you're ill-informed, and if you do read them, you're misinformed. Well, we unpack those stories and get to the truth of it. You can find the Andrew Eborn show with Errol Musk on YouTube, on Octopus TV. You can follow me at Andrew Eborn at Octopus TV. Do subscribe, it is free. And we've got hours and hours and hours going into the Musk history, going into all those different ventures, and Errol's views on the world, and also what's really happening, the truth behind Elon, those various stories. So do go along. You can subscribe now. Everybody's favorite four-letter word, it's free. Do that now.
Oh, brilliant. Errol Musk, Andrew Eborn, you have to come back, please, because I absolutely love both of you. Such important voices in what is going to be a big battle here in the United Kingdom to follow and ape and be inspired, I guess, by some of the amazing things that we heard in this historic address today. I loved that. Living history with you both. Thank you
it was
so
brilliant.
much.
The best speech that Trump has ever given. And as Errol said, probably one of the best political speeches we've heard for a very long time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Errol
Let me say
Musk
also
and
that I
Andrew
think
Eborn.
that the UK is can look forward to some good things happening there this year. It will happen.
Oh, please God, because, you know, it is hard to keep the faith at the moment, being completely honest. But please God, and we look at these shots right now, historic shots. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are out. Oh, there's a hug. There's the hug for Jill Biden, but you know there's no love lost between them. So thank you so much to Andrew Eborn and Errol Musk. And thank you so much. We are, for the first time actually, streaming live today on X on what is this historic day. If you have been with us on X, make sure you join the Dan Wootton Outspoken Club, which you can find on my X page. But I'd also love you to come on over to YouTube, where we are live every day, and sign up completely for free to Dan Wootton Outspoken. That is where we have been running our poll of the day. Who is your favorite US president? Fourth place. And by the way, this is in terms of recent US presidents, of course. Fourth place, Joe Biden with 1% of the vote. Third place, George W. Bush with 3% of the vote. Second place, Barack Obama with 5% of the vote. And in first place, Donald Trump with 93% of the vote. And thank you so much for being with us on what is a historic day. Just looking in our chat here, Kathy Dando, fantastic. I'm so glad I spent this historic moment on this channel. Thanks, Dan. And I am so glad that I spent it with you too, because we are going to do things differently over the next 4 years. Trust me, the era of the mainstream media being in charge of the narrative is over. And thank God for that. And for example, I hope, and many of you may not have, because it was at an unusual time, but we went live earlier today for a special edition of the show covering all of the revelations from Southport, all of the terrible things that went on there. And it is so important that we keep sight on that. I'm just looking at some more of your comments. Jojo Yucks Taro says, moved to tears over the Trump speech. Things are so desperate here in the UK. And I think that is very, very true, actually. It is desperate here. However, we absolutely can keep the faith, because at the end of the day, we, the people, have the ability, as the US has proven, to overrun the deep state, and that absolutely has to happen here in the UK. Now, of course, we have a very big week ahead with all of these developments out of Southport, so we are back live 5 p.m. tomorrow UK time, midday Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. I would recommend, though, if you are interested, that you go back and watch our special report on all of the revelations from Southport. I've got exclusive reporting on that. It's incredibly, incredibly important. So you can find that on both X and YouTube, a special show from earlier today. We do still have the uncancelled after show coming up, though, and it is a royal special today because, believe it or not, despite everything else going on, there was very big royal news over the weekend. A massive expose on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle in Vanity Fair, which revealed the truths of the types of reports that I had been making on this channel and many others for years and years and years. I'm going to unpick it and analyze it all with According to Taz, and we will do that over on Substack, www.outspoken.live. That is www.outspoken.live. All you have to do is enter your email address into that subscribe bar and you sign up completely for free. But if you want access to the after show on demand or live every single day, you can sign up for a monthly paid membership from just £5 a month plus VAT if you are watching in the UK. So, a historic day. We survived 4 years of Joe Biden. We defeated Kamala Harris. And now Donald Trump has pledged that the golden age of America begins right now. We'll, of course, be looking at how that works in terms of the intersection of America and the United Kingdom. And we'll just, as we leave today, take these historic shots of former president now, Joe Biden, leaving Washington, D.C., hopefully for the last time. Remember, his final act of president, this man who claims that he was not in any way corrupt, his final act as president was to pardon his entire family. Why, if they have nothing to hide? But Donald Trump says he was saved by God to make America great again. Thank you for living history with us here on Outspoken today. Do sign up on Substack, www.outspoken.live for the after show with According to Taz. Thank you so much to the brilliant Andrew Eborn and the fascinating Errol Musk. And remember, I will always keep fighting for you. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.